Chick from the NFLChick.com and the SportsFanJournal.com. It is week 2 of the NFL season. I am ready to go. I apologize in advance. I'm usually fresh, fly, and beautiful, but I'm having a bad hair day. So I'm representing my Baltimore Ravens with the look. Shout out to New Era for the Cats. All right, let's get into week 2. Week 2, we got some good games. Week 1 was terrible. I picked awful. Out of the top 6 games, I was 2-4, so I'm going to try to do better this week. Let's start off with the New Orleans Saints at the Carolina Panthers. Panthers are picked by 3. New Orleans defense is a little bit suspect. They showed that last week when they gave up 40 points against the Redskins. The Panthers can give them a fit at home, even though they lost last week to the Buccaneers. I'm going to take the Panthers, and I'm going to take the points. Next up, my Baltimore Ravens and the Philadelphia Eagles. Which bird is better? We're going to find out. Eagles by 3 that the line has it right now. The Ravens had an explosive start on Monday night against the Bengals, who won the playoff game last year. The Eagles, however, struggled a lot against the Cleveland Browns, and Michael Vick threw a lot of interceptions. He could have had more, but hey, they came out with the win, so that's all that matters, right? The Ravens' defense lacked pass rush, and that's a problem because if you give Michael Vick time, he can get those weapons the ball. This is the thing. They have problems on the wide receiver side of the Eagles. They have a lot of injuries. They've been ailing this week, and I don't know if they're going to be ready to play on Sunday. If they are, they may not be at 100%. I'm picking my Ravens to fly, not the Eagles, and take the points. All right, Redskins. Hot Redskins at the St. Louis Rams. The Rams almost beat the Lions last week, but almost doesn't count. Meanwhile, the Redskins went to New Orleans and dominated the New Orleans Saints. So what's going to happen this week? RG3 had a great start, but Bradford wasn't too bad either. I think this week it goes down to a little bit for more of reality. Let's be clear. The New Orleans Saints right now are a mess. And I'm not necessarily talking about personnel. I'm talking about coaching and Bountygate and everything else that's going around it. Jeff Fisher is a better coach than whoever that guy is that's the interim coach over there in New Orleans. I am picking the Rams, and I'm taking the points. Jets at Steelers. The Jets finally came out with touchdowns, and more touchdowns after having none in the preseason, which shows us preseason doesn't count. The Steelers, however, came up short against the Broncos last week. They looked a little lethargic. I don't know what was going on with them, but maybe this is why. They didn't have Ryan Clark, and they didn't have James Harrison. This week, they do. They will have both. So I am picking the Steelers to finally right the ship. What? I'm only saying that because, listen, Jets fans, you did great, but the Bills just aren't a good team. Let's be real. Okay. Don't forget the Steelers are by 6. They're 6 points favorites. I'm taking the points with them as well. The Detroit Lions play the San Francisco 49ers, who are favored to win that game by 7 points at home. The Lions barely came out with the win with the Rams, but they did with a late touchdown at the end of the game. Meanwhile, the 49ers were on fire against the Green Bay Packers. They're showing us that the NFC is theirs to take. I am taking the San Francisco 49ers, but I'm not taking the points because I feel like that Detroit has very good personnel, especially on the wide receiver standpoint, that they can give the 49ers a fit and probably narrow that win down by 3 or 4 points. So I'm taking the 49ers, but I'm not taking the points. Finally, Broncos at Falcons. Y'all hear that? Pay back. Pay back. That's all these people screaming that. Pay back. He's back. And he played very well against the Steelers. He showed everybody, including myself, because I am a doubter, that Pepe can stay healthy. That as of right now, the Broncos are definitely contenders for the AFC West. Then you have the Falcons. Matt Ryan dominated last week against the Chiefs. They let them stay in for a little while, but in the fourth quarter, they just took it away. The Falcons showed us that they're ready to take claim in the NFC and that they're ready to win playoff games. And I believe this is the year that they'll do it. I'm going ahead and I'm going to pick the Falcons. I'm actually thinking they're going to win by at least 7 points. So I'm taking the Falcons by 7, but I do think it'll be a good game. Now, it's common knowledge that I'm not a fan of fantasy football, but I can't ignore the fact that fantasy football is huge to everybody else. So I can't do this video without doing fantasy football updates. I want to shout out my man KZ at fansfantasyfootball.com for giving me tips each week to help you guys with your fantasy football team. Let's start off with the winners of this week that didn't do good last week, but they might have a good week this week. Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Bills. He plays crappy as a quarterback for your team, but fantasy-wise, he can put up garbage touchdowns when it really doesn't matter and make you look good. Jacquizz Rodgers of the Falcons. He should have a good week. Heath Miller of the Steelers. The linebackers of the Jets will have to cover him, and I think that he's going to give them a fit. And the Cincinnati Bengals play the lowly Cleveland Browns. Yes, I know Trent Richardson is running that game, but who are they throwing to? All right, let's go to busts of the week. They had a good week last week, but they're probably not going to do anything for your team this week. Matt Castle with the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, he's Matt Castle. Kevin Smith of the Detroit Lions. Mike Wallace of the Steelers, because he's going to play against Revis Island, and we know how Revis gets down. And the Chicago Bears, because last week they played against the Colts team. They're still a good defense, but they play against the Packers team this week, which is more sophisticated. Fantasy finds of the week that you guys probably wasn't even thinking about, but you probably should now. Albert Morris, Kevin Ogletree, Randall Cobb, James Jones, Dexter McCluster, and my man, Dennis Pitta of the Baltimore Ravens. And flukes of the week, Eldrick Robinson, Donnie Avery, and Jeremy Carrolley. If you don't know who these guys are, Google is your friend. That's it for this week's edition of Reeta's NFL Chick Pics. You can find me at the NFLChick.com, thesportsfanjournal.com, and Twitter at the NFL Chick. Have a good weekend, everybody.